We want to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or go to kcmxam.com and go to the Talk to Us tab. Send us your thoughts. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. 37 minutes after the hour. Welcome to Sunrise Show. Craig Froman again as your host. Always glad to have you on KCMX News Radio 880. You can follow along kcmxam.com and stay connected. I want to welcome into the studio our next guest and world-renowned. I call him world-renowned because he's world-traveled, but truly is. And he and his wife, Charlie Solis and his wife, Conceição, thank you. She's listening, and I'm just saying, oh, boy. Sorry, Miss Conceição. Around the world, 35 years, and your Reach Family Institute has come out of that refiner's fire, if you would, and you've traveled around the world to help families with developmental, children that have developmental issues. And coming up on the 24th, this Purposeful Parenting 101 at Kid Time. What a fantastic opportunity for local parents, that anyone that's dealing with children, to sit in on what you're going to be teaching. And it's a 1 to 4 p.m. class. It's going to be fantastic. Anyway, Charlie, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Craig. It's a delight to be back.
Well, we talk amongst email, and either in France, and I'll get a little limited email there, or you're in Indiana over here, or you're traveling around the world. So it is a privilege and honor to have you back in, and it's just, there's so much to get to. So this Purposeful Parenting 101, I saw the nuts and bolts, but tell us what's going to be happening that day.
Well, we are delighted to be, bringing our work to our own backyard. There are a lot of families in the area who certainly can use help, and in particular, really all parents. We all go through school, we get an education. Some of us go to college or graduate school or professional school. And one of the kind of the crazy thing about the whole thing is that the most important job that we'll ever have, which is raising children, becoming parents, we get no training whatsoever for that.
Isn't that something? And here's the thing: when you really break it down into the ridiculous, is we are in charge of another life, and we are in charge of making sure that they are the most successful that they can possibly be. And if we don't make them successful, if we don't give them the tools to be successful, they are the ones ridiculed, bullied, made fun of, mocked. The scenarios, the stigma follows them because they didn't get what we were supposed to give them. Isn't that crazy?
It really is. What's
it's sad.
What's tragic about it is that they are the future.
Absolutely. That's the next piece. Yeah.
So with so many children coming into schools today, with behavior issues, learning problems, the number of kids who are being diagnosed with attention deficit problems.
Oh my gosh, it's just nuts. The mental illness, everything is... Yeah.
More than 5 million children today in this country being treated with Ritalin and Adderall and other drugs to manage their behavior. And that doesn't even touch on a lot of the other psychiatric diagnoses, OCD, et cetera. And my wife and I, we've worked with kids for 38 years, and worked with children whose functional abilities span the spectrum of ability from no ability on one end. Every once in a while, we're asked to consult for children who are in coma.
Right.
So it goes kind of from that all the way up to children who are above average. because the focus of our work is the human brain, we have the great privilege of being able to work with kids regardless of where they are on that functional functional spectrum.
Yeah, now Charlie, is it age related for this purposeful parenting class? I mean, I know it leans towards smaller children and infants and things, but
it's a great question. Yes, it is. The purposeful parenting workshop is the foundational workshop in our series of workshops that is called the Brain Fit Kids Workshop Series. And the Purposeful Parenting Workshop is designed primarily for parents who are expecting a baby. Okay. So, pregnant moms and dads who are waiting for that little bundle of joy to come. It's a great time for them to learn about the process of brain development. It's also geared towards parents who have young children. So I would say anywhere from a child who is
newborn
in fetal development,
right,
all the way up to let's say 4-year-olds.
Okay,
that's the main focus.
I mean, we've talked about this. Is the acceleration level of the brain is such a rapid and amazing acceleration of learning on a daily basis? Is that it's like the ounce of cure, an ounce of prevention rather is worth a pound of cure. Catch it in the beginning.
The way that brain development is designed to happen is that development happens most rapidly early in life, and by approximately 4 years of age, the human brain is at about 90% of its adult size, and what that means is that exactly, it's pretty profound. What that means is that about 90% of the connections of the growth that's going to happen in that child's brain through his lifetime, that's already happened, and this is why we are so passionate about this. Is that at a time in life when we can have the greatest impact,
right?
Our tendency is to kind of sit back, cross our fingers, and hope that it will all work out.
Put the kid in the rocker, right? Put him in the motorized rocker, and just
we have a tendency to just leave it to chance. We don't really take much of a proactive role in seeing to it that the various developmental opportunities that we give to children and whatnot are truly conducive to good brain development. And that's because we don't really know what that is.
Yeah. Charlie, I think about kids in school, and we talk about education all the time. We talk about, giving them the courage to do things and the dreams in this country. I mean, nowhere else in the world. I mean, you travel all over the world, and I'm sure you pick up on all of that. Nowhere else in the world is the possibilities bigger than the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And that dreams can be accomplished here. And we always grew up saying, hey, you could be the president of the United States. I talk about being a fighter pilot or a fireman or a policeman or an astronaut or the president of the United States. I mean, this was playground, discussions. And it's true. It can happen. So to limit children and not give them every aspect of what they're accomplishing, what they could accomplish, is almost criminal. You hate to say that, but it's like, why not cut off their hands and make them try to be successful? Why would you not give them every tool available to them?
Yeah. And obviously it's not something that parents, consciously do.
No, I know, but
I think part of what has happened is that over a period of decades, parents have kind of abdicated their parental role to professionals. We don't take care of our health, and so then we turn to the doctor for solutions to that. And what we've essentially done in terms of raising children is we've turned that over to a professional class. the daycare provider, the preschool teacher, the kindergarten teacher, the elementary school teacher, and of course, education is important, and we're big supporters of education. The more of it, the better. But what we tend to lose in all of that is that the people who have the greatest influence on a child's brain are mom and dad.
Oh my gosh!
It's,
And we just came through this whole Medford School District 549C and the strike, and I keep talking about the teachers and the fact that the parents play a bigger role. And here you are, Charlie, with this figure: 5 million children take drugs for attention problems alone. I mean, we're talking about mental health issues in our country. This is the epicenter. This is the nugget right here.
That's right. That's right. And go ahead.
Well, we got to take a quick little break.
Okay.
I've got Charlie Solis with us. He's executive director of the Reach Family Institute. You can get to reachfamilyinstitute.org, and they are going to be hosting a Purposeful Parenting 101 workshop coming up August 24th from 1 to 4 at Kid Time. There is a small cost, $30 per person, $40 per couple. And I'll tell you what, anyone that has small children, this will change your life. I am positive of it. I know that you will come out of it successful, along with the children that you have, the ones you love so much. And we've got to get to a quick break, so we'll do that and come right back with Charlie Solis. More on the Sunrise Show after we return.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880. A little bold and extremely fun, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. Here's Craig.
Take you up in paradise up above. Shaboom and down, me darling, I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream. Sweetheart, hello again.
Good morning, everybody. 52 minutes after the hour. Glad you're with us on this beautiful Thursday morning. Going to get to 84 today. It was beautiful, cool, and breezy overnight. And, of course, everyone enjoying that here in the Rogue Valley. Well, we've got Charlie Solis on with us this morning. He's the executive director of the Reach Family Institute. Get to his website, reachfamilyinstitute.org, and world-renowned. And, Charlie, thanks so much for being in this morning and your workshop coming up. This is kind of the tip of the iceberg. You've got more workshops in the bag, but this is one of the first ones.
We do, yes. As I said, this is the foundational workshop. In this workshop, we teach sort of all of the basics about how that magnificent brain develops, and also a number of best practices that parents can employ early in a child's life that will almost ensure that the process of brain development happens as it should, barring, of course, an unfortunate illness or injury that might have a negative effect on the brain.
Right.
But those kinds of things, although they do happen, unfortunately, I work with them virtually every day. But those are things that actually, in the grand scheme of things, are pretty rare.
You think, Charlie, about young parents and young families with their children and with children that have, developmental issues, and how a simple thing can make it so wonderful for the families or the kids. And it's just one simple thing can change the whole dynamic of the family, whether you have a cranky baby or a colicky baby, or you understand now why that is.
Absolutely. I'll give you a real concrete example of that. One of the things that we talk about, one of the best practices that we speak about in the workshop, is the idea of talking to children. Okay? And now you might say, well, of course, everybody talks to their children.
Goo goo gaga ba ba ba.
Not really. Not really. There is talking at children. There's talking about children.
Right.
But actually speaking with children doesn't happen nearly as much as one might assume. The University of Kansas a few years ago did a study on this. And what they did was they looked at kids from 3 different socioeconomic groups. kids from poor families, middle-class families, and upper-class families, or
Interesting.
the professional class. And what they found was that by the time children are 3 years of age, those kids who grow up in poverty are at a 3 million word deficit in terms of the number of words that they've actually heard.
Charlie, that's staggering.
So they figured out, the researchers figured out a way to literally count the number of words that parents would say to the children. And so over a period of several years, they conducted these studies, and
3 million
and the final
words
determination,
less.
a 3 million word deficit. Now, to appreciate why that's important, the whole development of language is dependent, first of all, on input. You know, it's the brain is in many ways much like a computer, and it has to be fed information. And, you know, we get information through all of our senses, so visual information, auditory information, tactile information, even information through our senses of taste and smell. And that's how we gain data about the world. And then the brain, of course, is magnificent at analyzing that data, seeing patterns in it, and using it. Well, a child who's at a 3 million word deficit is in big trouble when it comes to the development of language. This study was considered so important that the city of Providence, Rhode Island, earlier this year in February, launched a $5 million project to simply teach parents in the city of Providence how to talk to their children.
That is amazing.
So something as subtle and simple as that can have dramatic impact. And there are many other such things.
And Charlie, this is just fascinating. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and we're going to push your class coming up on the 24th.
We appreciate that.
Well, throughout this next week, it's profound, and Charlie, you're so gifted, and I so appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Solis with the Executive Director for the ReachFamilyInstitute.org. Charlie, this is, and you know what? You follow the money. This is a huge piece, and we're going to talk about this more.
Speaking of the money, $40 for a couple to attend. That's the price of a night out at the movies.
Exactly right.
Okay?
Exactly right.
And you couldn't invest $40 in any better way than to take this workshop.
Exactly right. Thanks very much. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Sunrise Show. Stay tuned for Alex Jones.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880.